Hello and welcome to another episode of Chat with Ty. Today is episode 9 of Talking Sports. I have another special guest with me today, Wooly. He's from Minnesota. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Tell us a fun fact about yourself, Wooly.
Sure. Yep. My name is Wooly, which is short for Woolhouse. The preferred nickname I go by, just a shortened version of the last name, because Adam is way too popular of a name. So Wooly like the mammoth, I always introduce myself as. Grew up in Minnesota, minus a 3-year stint in Iowa for college. Little fun fact about myself, when I was in college, I was actually training to be a professional wrestler for a couple of years. But unfortunately, as a college student in the late 90s, early 2000s, I did not have my own health insurance. And I broke my tailbone and my big toe by having my toenail kicked into my toe. And pretty much retired after that point because I could not afford to get either of those two fixed and couldn't afford to do anything on them that professional wrestlers need to do. So I had a very short, I think, 6-match career. I only won twice.
Well, a win is a win. I mean, I guess now it's a great time to introduce our sponsor, Tria. No, just kidding. Okay. But Tria Health Group, hit us up. So I know you started Ushertaining with the St. Paul Saints recently. Tell me a little bit more on why did you start Ushertaining in the first place and how did you start?
Sure. I have been on the TC squad since 2017, and in 2021 was all set to do it again, except Major League Baseball was going into the season with a big question mark. Are they going to play or are they not? There was a threatened lockout at the beginning of the season that didn't sound like it was going to affect the minor leagues, AAA. So I wanted to continue working in baseball. So the TC squad is the Minnesota Twins kind of mascot support team. We hang out with TC Bear. We shoot t-shirts. We get people riled up for the games. We pick contestants for games, the between innings stuff. A lot of the fun entertainment that happens at Target Field, we're responsible for 25 to 40% of it or so, along with supporting the big giant bear mascot for whatever he might need. So when the fear came that I don't know if the TC squad is going to start on time in 2022, or if it's even going to happen, if the lockout goes too long, I reached out to a friend who was also working on the TC squad who had a full-time job with the Saints and asked, hey, are you guys still looking for Ushertainers? And thankfully for me, they are. They were at the time. The Ushertainers are a wider version of what the TC squad does, but they've been doing it for longer. And this hurts me to say because I've been on the TC squad for several years. They do it better, only in that they have a lot of free reign. They can do stuff during the game rather than just between innings, and without the mascot around, they can just do stuff on their own. I've been a big fan of the St. Paul Saints before that they were part of the Minnesota Twins. They used to just be an independent league. Was a big fan, went to multiple games a year when they were doing that. And the Ushertainers were just always around the stadium, making people laugh, getting people to cheer. We've worked TC squad. We know that sometimes baseball fans need some encouragement to get off of their butt, to get their hands clapping, to get chirping. The Ushertainers were always great at doing that, whether they were getting them to clap, to chant, to boo the other team, to laugh, whatever it happened to be. So I was always envious of the Ushertainers that I saw. So when the opportunity arose for me to be an Ushertainer, I jumped all over it. And it was an absolute blast in 2022. I'm returning in 2023, and I'll keep doing it as long as the St. Paul Saints want to pay me to be at CHS Field.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's really interested to learn what Ushertaining is, because coming into this, I had no idea what Ushertainer do. I know what ushering is. I actually just recently learned what ushers do, which is mind-boggling because I work at different stadiums and I see them all the time, and I didn't realize that's what they're called. So I just thought they're like security people.
Mhm.
But I guess like the Saints take it to a even higher level with the Ushertainers actually entertaining people as well as doing some kind of like security stuff as well.
Yep. I mean, you look at the two words that make it up, usher and entertainer. Um, Ushers, at baseball games, stand at the top of the seats. They point to where seats, this is where your seat is. This is where your row is. Let me see your ticket. Make sure you're not sneaking down into the good seats when you bought the cheap ones. Pointing out the bathrooms are over there. The hot dog stands are over there. The best beer is over there. And then you've got entertainment. And the entertainment part is different ushertainer to ushertainer. Some of them are really good at getting the fans to get up and clap. Some of them are really good on one-on-one to make sure the little kids are having fun. We have one who's a magician who will search people out to do, the close-up street magic, the sleight of hand. Standing next to him, he made a pencil disappear. My mind is blowing that the shark was able to do that with me a foot and a half away from him, and I had no idea how he did it. So it's that great combination of being able to be at a baseball game, interact with the fans, but doing it in an entertaining way as a character, so you can just let yourself loose without fear of someone going up to management and saying that guy was rude to me or that guy didn't tell me where my proper seat was. You can just have fun with them. And it is fun for me. As far as I can tell, it's fun for the fans as well. I haven't had any complaints yet, so I'll take that as a positive.
That's awesome. So I'm kind of interested in learning more about how Ushertaining works on game days. So I know, for instance, a lot of the ballpark vendors, they have like a big shuffle at the beginning of the game. For example, I know at Fenway Park in Boston, they would have like a 3 hour before the game, all the vendors will gather and they'll do like a little lottery or whatever the draft is, where they pick what food they want to sell and then which area they want to sell. So I was wanting to learn what your day-to-day like for the game prep.
So this is either going to be the most boring answer or the most interesting answer, because the short answer is no, we don't do that ahead of time. We show up a half hour before the game starts. We go up to the turnstiles to welcome fans to the stadium. And then from that point on, we either wander the stadium and seek out people who look like they need to have some fun, kids who are maybe crying a little bit, who need a laugh, sections that we can get a chant or we can get a clap going. But it is 95% up to the individual ushertainer to decide, where am I going to go today? What am I going to do today? Who am I going to make laugh today? The exceptions are, there are occasionally times where the ushertainers step in to host some of the pre-game or in-between inning games. Now, the Saints, as far as I know, didn't invent doing this at baseball games, but in my opinion, they perfected it, doing the in-between inning games to keep fans entertained and to keep them interacting during the game. So, the mascot race, they have a giant eyeballs that are sponsored by a local optometrist that are sponsored by a local optometrist. So you have a green eye, a blue eye, a brown eye, who race from center field to first baseline. You have a tire race. You have a underwear relay. We have a trampoline game where you're jumping and trying to stick little things onto a giant map of the country. And if you get all of the stickers up in the time limit, you win airline points. The game I hosted the most was a chipping challenge for golf. You would get multiple shots within 45 seconds from different distances to try to win gift packs to one of the local casinos who was a sponsor. So as long as we're covering all of those, which are usually assigned pregame unless someone, calls in sick or someone is stuck out doing some entertaining out in the outfield and we need to call an audible. Other than those assigned games, the day-to-day life is You show up, you know who your character is, you know what your bits are. You work those in along with the games you may be assigned to host.
Very interesting. So I think I remember your character is the number 2 dad. Is that like a season long thing or do you change it?
So I'll correct you a little bit. It's the world's second greatest dad.
Okay.
And the only reason I get it straightened is the very first time I was hosted, or I'm sorry, the very first time I was introduced at CHS Field, the host read my name wrong and he called me the world's greatest second dad, which made it sound like I was a stepdad who stepped in and I was the world's greatest stepdad, which is slightly different than the world's second greatest dad. And the way that kind of came about was, I was throwing ideas out for different characters, and the dad one came up as a good option for me. I am a dad. I have 2 kids who are 15 and 10, but I tell a lot of really bad dad jokes, which are just terrible puns. I dress like a dad in my almost normal day-to-day life. I look like a dad. And at one point, my character's name was going to be the Dad Bod, but I was afraid that would just turn into a series of fat jokes. And I wanted to find something else that went, instead of focusing on the dad bod, which I still proudly display. If anyone asks me about it, I tell them it's not a dad bod, it's a father figure. But as the dad, the world's second greatest dad, that's what most of my bits go around, is telling those dad jokes, finding those other dads, which most dads will seek me out and either say they're the number 1 dad or they're the number 3 dad, depending on how self-deprecating they want to be. A lot of times the kids will come up and claim that their dad is the number 1 dad. And I usually have like a sticker or a button that says number 1 dad on it, and is one of my bits to hand that out at points during the game and say, hey, I found the world's greatest dad. Congratulations. I'm going to beat you next year. And that usually gets a big laugh as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, I definitely feel that I have my own share of dad jokes that I occasionally flip out. I always love those.
I do on occasion get challenged to a dad joke off, and I usually get a topic and then we go back and forth on puns. So what is one of your dad jokes? Do you have one readily available?
I have my favorite dad joke on hand.
What is that?
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. Why do ducks have tail feathers on their butts?
Why?
To cover their butt quacks.
My dad joke at the baseball game, because I try to relate as much as I can to baseball, is I would tell people that baseballs used to be made out of duck leather, but unfortunately players would hit too many foul balls because ducks are waterfowl. Ball. Yeah, see, a good dad joke has either a good laugh or a groan. And you groaned right there, so I count that as a good dad joke.
Yeah, I feel like I was at a disadvantage there because English, it's my second language. So some of the words that I don't really fully get, like the waterfowl creature, I wasn't sure what that was.
That wasn't one of the first things you learned in English, was what different names for ducks? That's so weird, Tyler.
No, I still got to catch up on my encyclopedia. But yeah, so it seems like you're really enjoying your job as Ushertainer. What's your favorite part of the job?
I mean, other than getting paid to watch a baseball game, because CHS Field is wide open. You and I have both worked at Target Field for a couple seasons, and we know there's not a bad seat in the house. And from almost anywhere we walk on the concourse at Target Field, you can see the action on the field. CHS Field in St. Paul is like that, but 10 times better. You have a perfect view of the stadium in 99% of the locations that I walk. The only one is behind the batter's eye in center field. Everywhere else in the stadium, you can see the game perfectly. And I'm a big baseball fan. A lot of the Ushertainers like the sport, appreciate the sport. but don't follow it as closely as I do or as passionately. So I do admit, and I, told the bosses there and they laughed and said, hey, that's not a problem. I find myself watching the game more often than most of the other Ushertainers. So honestly, that's my favorite part, is just being able to be in the stadium. It's still, I have to pinch myself sometimes like I'm a child doing my lifelong dream whenever I get to walk onto the field, whether it's Target Field or CHS Field. If I'm on the warning track, if I'm on the grass, I've got to throw first pitches and catch first pitches. I've got to play catch out in center field. That's a dream. Whichever stadium I'm at, it's an absolute dream to get to do that. As the Ushertainer, my favorite part of the game and my job is when I get to be on the mic, when I get to work with one person exclusively, but the entire stadium can hear me. And a lot of people, it's one or the other. They like to control, 5,000 people who are at a baseball game, or they like to talk with the 3 people they're talking to right in front of them. I like to talk to these 3 people, but I'm motivated when I get 5,000 people who can hear my dumb dad jokes, or who can hear me make this person look good and make them get the laugh and make me look bad by making them look even better. That's what I really enjoy with my job, is when I get to be on the microphone. I get to have a 8-year-old kid I'm talking to pick which player they think is going to hit a home run today, and if they win a prize, and get them on the mic and get them chatting and not realizing how funny they are until they start talking. Any chance I get to do that in front of a large group, I'll jump all over it, and I get to do that almost every game at CHS Field.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like a very fulfilling experience.
It's an ego boost to get to do that. I'm not afraid to admit that. I need the ego boost every once in a while.
So after talking about all of the fun parts, what gets you out of your bed to go to your jobs, those kind of things, tell me a little bit more about the most challenging part of the job.
I think the most challenging part is reading people in the audience. I call it the audience because I feel like, they're here to see me. I'm a comedian. They're here, my audience. In the stands, the fans in the stadium, getting a read on them, because some of them are here to watch baseball. They're not here to see a guy dressed as a chef throw pies at people. They're not here to see a guy dressed as a coach do push-ups on the dugout. Probably 80% of the people are here for that. 5-10% of them are here to watch baseball. And because the Saints are a AAA affiliate for the Twins, there are a lot of scouts in the audience. Again, I call it the audience. There are a lot of scouts in the stands who are getting paid to be there and watch the game and take notes on the players, and whether they're preparing to trade for someone or they have a series coming up against them and they want to know what pitches to throw them. Or again, just the diehard baseball fans who are there to keep score in their book and watch the new players as they're coming up through the system. You need to know what people to leave alone. And you also need to know what people are ready to joke about or are ready not to. And I'll give you an example. The keyboardist, the organist at the Saints, Andrew Crowley, great guy, very entertaining on the keys, very skilled, can find a song and play it on the keys like with a moment's notice. And one of the songs he likes to play is "If You're Happy and You Know It, Clap Your Hands," to try to get the fans to clap. And one of my dad joke bits with people is if I see someone not clap, I'll approach them and go, "Oh, you're not happy. You didn't clap. You must not be happy." And there was one girl I was walking by. "If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands." And she was not clapping. So I asked her, "Oh, are you not happy you didn't clap?" And that was when she looked up and I saw she had a black eye. And she said, "No, I just got hit by a foul ball. I'm not happy at all." And oh, wow, I am so sorry about that. And I helped her find first aid and I walked her over there. So I ended up turning it into a good thing, but finding that line of, okay, there's people, if they're not making eye contact with you, there's probably a reason, and let's just let them be and move on to the next person.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
worst part was the worst part was she didn't even get the ball.
Oh,
Someone else got the ball. You know a little bit about that. Remember at the Twins when the guy threw a ball to you and it hit me in the head?
well, I was the one who traded a nut row for the ball.
I had completely forgotten about that until just now. That was one of my favorite funny moments of the is that 2021 season? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not this year, it was last year. Never
Well,
gotten hit by a ball thrown from an opposing team over the net onto the dugout and hit me right on the head. And then Tyler
yeah.
took the ball.
Well, it was meant for me.
You
And
traded the nut roll. You had nut rolls. You traded it for it. It
he
was
did
fair.
say, yeah.
Do you have the ball still with you?
I believe so. I believe I made TC assign the ball for me. So it's an extra special ball. Yeah, I understand the most difficult or the most challenging part of your job is realizing that some people are there for you or to see the Ushertainers and to try to enjoy the moment. But there's always times when someone is there because either you mentioned because they're working, they're scouting, they're doing work, or they're actually not having a fun experience. And part of being in like the entertainment industry is to have thicker skin and to have the ability to just flip a switch and turn a different direction when you see someone not having a good time or come up with something to help someone who is not having a good time to have a better time. And that is something that I really admire people like you who has been in this industry for so long, who has the experience to fix things and just to go with the flow and be flexible.
It's my opinion that baseball is a game and games are supposed to be fun. And if you're paying to go to a game, you absolutely need to be having fun. And if I can help do that, I'm doing my job.
Absolutely. So, last question for you. If anyone else is looking to pursue a job or work in ushertaining or just work for a sports team in general for fan engagement stuff, what's some of your advices and suggestions for them since you've been in the industry for years and you have a lot of connections and experiences?
Sure. The first and foremost, I would follow all of your local teams on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, especially, because if there's a job opening, it's going to be posted on there. That's how I found out about the TC squad with the Twins. And that was how I originally found out that they were looking to hire additional Ushertainers at the Saints. They put it up just clear as day on Facebook. We're hiring. Myself, I went for these jobs because it was a lifelong dream to work in professional baseball. And, you know, I'm the oldest member of the TC squad. Thankfully, on the St. Paul Saints, I'm middle of the road age-wise for Ushertainers. But I was never at this point going to get a job as a player. I was never going to get a job in the front office. And when I first was looking for a job, I had no idea these jobs existed. I thought front office, players, and the guy selling the hot dog were the three jobs you could get for Major League Baseball. So there's these opportunities out here to have fun. You just got to be, you know, aware of them on social media. Again, Facebook and LinkedIn would probably be the two. For the Ushertainers, I know that they try to add on every year, and you know, people leave, people retire, people have additional family responsibilities. So I wouldn't doubt that they're looking to hire additional people this upcoming season. I would have a character in mind, try to establish something. And me as the world's second greatest dad, that grew out of a list of 3 characters I sent to Josh, the entertainment director at the Saints. 2 of them he had said flat out no to. One, I had suggested being the world's biggest umpire fan. So I was going to be at the games cheering the umpires on for all the plays, standing up for them if they made a controversial play. I thought that might be fun. their suggestion was, we want people to cheer for the Saints. We don't want people to cheer for the umpires. Makes sense. My second suggestion was to be a parody of the professional wrestler Randy Savage. I was going to be the Nacho Man. But they had a professional wrestling Ushertainer several years ago. And to the credit of the Saints entertainment staff, they respect the past. So they don't want any duplicates from someone, a character before. But they also don't want existing characters stealing really anything from existing characters. So I'll give you an example. When I was putting together my clothes for the world's second greatest dad, which my clothes consist of a Hawaiian shirt, khakis, black socks pulled up to my calves, either Crocs or sandals, and a big like floppy Fisher hat. And then the sunglasses with the flip-ups, the clip-on flip-up sunglasses. Before that, I had thought of doing like a plaid shirt. No. The nerd character wears a plaid shirt, and there's a lumberjack character named Paula Bunyan, who's Paul Bunyan's little sister, who wears a flannel. So no plaids, because we've got two people already doing that. Okay. I had a couple other ideas that, this is kind of similar to them, kind of similar to that. So have a unique character in mind with either a memorable name or a kind of punny name. And then if you have not really done any entertainment like that, I would strongly encourage improv classes. The Twin Cities is very blessed that we have a number of improv theaters, huge theater, and Stevie Ray's comedy would be the two that I would suggest if you want to have any sort of improv training to go to. That'll just help you think on your feet, be comfortable around people, be comfortable talking when you don't know exactly what you were going to say, as well as character work. If you don't have any acting experience, those would be my suggestions: is take an improv class, have a couple character ideas, and really hit that character hard. And then make sure you follow the teams on social media so you know when these opportunities arise.
Well, absolutely. Thank you for teaching me a little bit more about Ushertaining, Wooly. And I think if I were to audition, I would be the international student who is really, really have no idea about baseball. Would be my character, who is just trying to learn.
I like that. That would work.
Yeah, but we'll see.
You'd have to. Props are a big thing. I carry around a championship belt that says "World's Second Greatest Dad" on it. I usually have a large Saints glass with me that looks like beer, but for legal reasons, it usually isn't beer. A lot of the characters have props, so I think you would need, a stack of books, maybe a backpack,
or a dictionary,
an English, an English dictionary for translations, some binoculars. A lot of fans a lot of fans who are first going to a baseball game think they need binoculars. So
yep,
and then maybe some generic shirt that says baseball or sports on it.
Yeah, I do have that. I do have those shirts. Perfect. I'm all set. Well, thank you, Wooly. Thanks for coming on today and teaching us a little bit more about Ushertaining and your experience through working fan engagement, fan relations at different ballparks. And this is Chat with Ty. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.